Russ's favorite area of interest is international economics, which he has studied for several years. He keeps up with current events and has taken courses on the subject. His project number 7 speech is entitled, "Why the North American Free Trade Agreement is Good U.S. Trade Policy." For this 5 to 7 minute speech, please welcome Russ Kosch.
A couple of years before the financial crisis, we were hearing more and more information about China, currency valuation, trade policy, jobs lost. Kept on hearing more and more information, but there was never a discussion of why. So I decided to get involved in that and study international economics. Took a couple of courses at CSU, international finance and economics. I keep up on the subject. Council on World Affairs, that type of thing. What I'm going to do real quickly is give a real quick view of why nations trade, an overview of regional free trade agreements, incorporate NAFTA, give you some data to back up my position, and close with a discussion of a major corporation that has incorporated NAFTA into its strategic plan. First of all, why do nations trade? It may seem obvious to you. Better consumer cost, more features, more variety, and maybe with the exception of China, more quality. If a nation, say the U.S., has more of these than France in all categories, we call it absolute advantage. Adam Smith couldn't get around that. Why would they trade? The U.S. wouldn't have any reason to trade with France, right? Years later, Ricardo came up with a principle of comparative advantage. It's a pillar of international economics. What he said was that the country with the greatest absolute advantage can trade with the country with the least absolute disadvantage. In those cases, it's beneficial for both nations to trade. There are assumptions, though, and it assumes labor mobility and also lack of barriers. On regional free trade agreements, of which NAFTA is one, tariffs, taxes, and fees have all been eliminated. It also excludes most or all products. But in this case, for example, Mexico still has duties or tariffs on poultry, dairy products, and other items. What regional trade does, you can trade faster, more diversity, and in my opinion, there's more foreign direct investment, which to me solidifies capital investment in other countries, solidifies their trade. Since NAFTA, which started in 1994, for an example, from 2009 to 10, among the NAFTA partners, trade has increased 78%. So there are some ups and downs. Since 1994, it has increased 190%. The rest of the world, 40–50%. This is from the U.S. Trade Representative's Office. Just a real quick note on data, you have to really watch it. The sources of the information, 99% of what you see online is from vested interests, unions, trade organizations, and the like. Stay away from all that. You have to really watch your sources or you'll come to the wrong conclusions. The problem with this regional free trade is there are a lot of jobs displaced, which you've heard a lot about over the years. One of the biggest areas affected by NAFTA is agricultural trade. I've got a graph here showing the U.S.-Mexico trade in agriculture. The y-axis is billions of dollars, the x-axis is 3 years. 1993, the year before NAFTA, 05, and 10. The hatch marked is exports, the clear area is imports. As you can see, there's a huge increase because of NAFTA. Problem is, Mexico's lost 1 million farmer jobs. No mobility of labor. Making a lot of problems for the U.S. immigration problems. Hopefully over the long run, that will work itself out in some way. Closer to home, Ohio and NAFTA. Exports to Mexico and Canada in manufacturing alone, 1 year, $20 billion. That's $25,000 per employed factory worker. This is according to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Nationally, average increase 0.5% on U.S. GDP, which is in the trillions. So it's big bucks, all attributed to NAFTA. Caterpillar, Peoria, Illinois, major corporation, brick-moving equipment. Their exports to Canada and Mexico up 300 and 450% respectively. U.S. employment for Caterpillar up 33%. In 1980, Mexico built a steel factory to manufacture parts for Caterpillar. But since NAFTA, up 8,000 employees. Canada, up 700 employees. To quote the chairman of Caterpillar, he said, despite all the rhetoric, NAFTA has been a win-win-win, beneficial to the economies of all three countries. Based on all this information and statistics that I've read and trends, I think NAFTA is good U.S. trade policy.